What in the world? Like, my GPS is out? Like, the radio's dead? What? My vehicle I just pulled up right here? Everything's dead. Like, what am I gonna do now? Oh, I'm on this back road in the middle of nowhere. Nothing will start. All right. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I'm like in the middle of nowhere. I mean, okay, I'm by a road. Like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Oh, like nowhere. Oh, thank God. That's right. I've got my road atlases. I can figure out where I'm at. Oh. 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 I guess I should have updated that. Oh, 2009. That was a long time ago. I'm glad I grabbed this New Mexico map, though. All right. Well, I know that I came from up in Lincoln, and I know that I'm in like, oh, okay. All right. Focus. Okay. All right. I was going to Roswell, so I'm like in what section is that? Okay, that's like what, 41? Is that what that is? That I was going there, so I need to look in section 41, and oh, okay, and figure out my way home. All right. So page 41, got it to page 41. All right, there's Roswell. So I was gonna go to Roswell. All right, and from Roswell, so I started in Capitan, right? All right, there's Capitan. All right, so I started in Capitan, and I was taking the 246. All right, and I take the 246 all the way down, and was coming down, and that's the mountain. So that's the Capitan Mountains. So there's the Capitan Mountains. All right, I'm by Larkspur Road. So I came all the way down 246 to Larkspur Road. So all the way down 246. And I came down, gosh, I hope it's on here because this is the middle of nowhere. I came all the way down, and I know I went way past, and oh no, that's not, I don't see any road. Is that Larkspur Road? No, that's not Larkspur Road. Okay. And I came down. Okay, I remember passing that ranch. I remember that. All right. I came down, and I remember coming down that. Yeah, I remember coming by that road too and going by there. And then, all right, Larkspur's on here. All right, so I know where I'm at. Whew, I'm a long ways though away from Roswell. But I need to make it into Roswell. That's probably my best bet. All right, it's time to pack up and get going then. All right, I gotta take my map with me. I know where I'm going now. Thank God I know where I'm at.
Hey everybody, Chris from Coyote Fieldcraft talking to you today about road maps, atlases in general. The scenario that you just saw, terrible scenario. Cargo's out, cell phone coverage is out, the GPS is out, radio's out, could have been an EMP, who knows. Terrible scenario, middle of nowhere, and you don't know where you're at. You have a general idea. Broke out the atlas and figured out where I was at. Let's talk about why we're talking about atlases today. It's one of the most popular maps. Road maps are some of the most popular maps in America. They're found in vehicles, they're found at gas stations, they're found at tourist locations, they're found all over, and they're probably the most readily mapped and probably the most used map anywhere. Now, society has gotten very used to their cell phone, using GPS, plug in where you're going, it tells you turn by turn and get you there. But we're going to break it down old school style, and we're going to talk about why it's important, why you should have an atlas or a field map inside your vehicle, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Again, the reason we're going with this map first in this map series is because this is probably the most readily used map in America. Let's break it down and get into it. So what we've got here is we've got a New Mexico Atlas and Gazette It's a detailed topographical map. It's got highways and everything else in it. And then we've got the Rand Macaulay Road Atlas. It's the Americas. This one's older, 2009. Could it still be used? Absolutely. But I'm going to break down and use the map that I figured out where I was at, and we can talk about atlases and stuff like that. So we got the New Mexico map. In the opening video, you saw me open it up and figure out where I was at. But let's talk a little bit about the opening thing. You got the table of contents in the opening, but the most important part of any map, in any map that you look at, is the legend. The legend tells you everything that you need to know about the map. It tells you all the different types of things that are on your map, from the color of roads and what the interstates are, what different types of areas are, colors of areas, water, different types of symbols for airports and other things. Again, the legend breaks it down for you on any map. This map here is in the very front, and you can see the legend is on the front page. Now, if we go over to the atlas, and you go to the atlas, it's not on the very first page. All right, it tells you where things are on the page, but if you turn the page, it breaks down some history and some other stuff, and you've got to go in a little bit, and then you find, again, the map legend. The map legend is always an important aspect, and it's something that you need to get used to looking at when you're going to a map. For these maps, we're going to talk about the map and just kind of break it down how I did it in the quick video and explain it to you. Now, if you're new to map reading, we can get down into the weeds, leave a comment, talk to us about it, and we can break it down even deeper about map reading. But right now, I'm just going to break it down that you broke down, you're in the middle of nowhere, you have no cell service, your cell phone's dead, there's no traffic there, and you've got to figure out where you're at and how to get there. I kind of showed in the opening video what happened and how I did it. Now I'm going to explain it to you with this. So with the map, these numbers are all broken down and explains to you where to look by page number, and you can go and look. It's all referenced out. So I looked and I saw, oh, Roswell, where I was going, is on page 41. So I'm hoping that on page 41, I potentially can find myself in there. So I flipped to page 41 and found out where I was at. Let's get it to page 41. So 41, I opened up and put it on the hood of my broken down vehicle. All right. I knew that I started up in Capitan, and I figured out that I was on the 246. All right. 246 is this road here. Here's Capitan. So I knew that I drove down the 246. Now, where I broke down on the 246, I was unsure of. Lucky for me, I knew the road intersection where I was at. So I could look on the map and go down until I found the road intersection that I was at and locate myself. All right. Then I could use the road that I was on to navigate myself back into town and figure out to go to town. Now, reading a map is obviously up on the top is always to the north, and that's how maps are always oriented. Top of the maps are always to the north in the way that they're done. Now, in the legend, this legend doesn't break it down and tell you what true north and north is or anything like that on the legend. So you can't use this to navigate technically with a compass. You can because you know where north is, but knowing exactly the direction that you're going on the map. The good thing about this one, it is a topographical map. If you look closely, you can see topographical lines in here. You can see terrain features and things like that on the map. Green representing the forests, you know, and darker areas representing cities and everything like that. You can look and see like some of the cities and areas and how they're built up in the roads. And then some of the maps on pages, you can look for the page numbers. It'll break it down and it'll take you and show you, like this one shows you public land until it shows you where all the public land is and breaks it down again on the legend, explaining it to you, explaining to you the scale of the map, telling you that north is to the top of the map. These are all things that are important when you're looking at map and map reading. The scale of the map tells you the scale so that you can orient yourself and see how far you have to go. The road atlases break it down and show you different roads and different areas. Again, at the very beginning, it gives you a whole section of New Mexico and what pages to go to there. But it also has a table of contents, so if you want to get down into street maps and other things, it's got Albuquerque, Clovis, Farmington, Las Cruces, Roswell. Roswell street map is on page 70. Let's go to page 70 and look at the Roswell street map and talk about just the streets in Roswell. As you break it down, it's got Roswell, you got Farmington, you got Clovis, all in the same area. But it's got the Roswell street maps. So if you break down in Roswell and you don't have anything, and you got to figure out where you're at, you can go to an intersection and look and say, oh, I'm at the intersection of such and such. And by doing that, you can go on your street map and look for the intersection that you're at, so you can locate yourself, and then you're geolocated, knowing that the top of the map, once again, is to the north. And you can find yourself and know, oh, I'm in this area of town. I needed to go over to this area of town, and you know how to travel there. You can take the streets. You can cut straight across if able, if there's not fencing or other things in the way. Again, an atlas breaks it down. Now, is it going to have every single town or every single place that you're going to? Absolutely not. It will, though, help you to orient. If you're in the middle of nowhere like I was, and you come across an emergency where the vehicle's not working, neither is your GPS, and you've got to figure out where you are, that's the best bet. Now, of course, you have to know where you're coming from and where you're going to. And if you don't know those things, then you might have a little bit harder time. But you'll know, okay, I was technically on 246. Well, I know I may have passed a mile marker back a ways, and I thought I saw mile marker 67 on the side of the road. You can go and say, okay, and look on things, and some maps will have the mile markers marked out on them. Some won't. Sometimes you can tell, it'll tell you travel distances from one area to another, and you'll know, okay, if the travel distance is 200 miles and the scale of the map is whatever the scale is, you can go from there. Good thing about this map, down in the corner here, you can see the scale. You can see the scale map. It shows you the scale of the map, and so you can measure distances of how far you need to go and distances that you need to go. I turned to page 40 and 41 because that's what we used when I broke down in the area that I was at. So it gives you a good reference that I was in the middle of nowhere. Literally, you could see that I was pretty much in the middle of nowhere. There was no real structures, no real towns, no real anything for quite some time. By looking at the distances, we could measure how far I was out of town and be able to see, okay, I was X amount as the crow flies in straight line distance from town. But if I was going to take the road back, this is how far it would be, and you can measure it. All right. The importance of having a map and understanding how to read the map is very important. Again, almost all maps, the top of the map is always north oriented. Now, we can get more technical as we go into this series and talk about maps and map reading. Again, we're using an atlas and just a road map to do a quick once-over so you can try to figure out where you're at and locate yourself. That is something that's very important, knowing where you're coming from and where you're going, so that you can figure out, okay, where did I end up as I broke down, or some catastrophic event happened and now I need to go from this location to wherever I need to go. This is how you would do it. As I explained, you would figure out where I came from, where I was going, and what road I was on. Well, like I said before, I was coming from Capitan and I was going to Roswell. I decided to take the side scenic route on a road that was out in the middle of nowhere, and catastrophe happened. So if I know that I'm on this road someplace, I know that I can find myself on this road by either finding a road that's a crossroad, and that in this case that's what I did, or I can also say terrain association. In the opening video, I talked about terrain association, and I looked back and you could see the Capitan Mountains, and this is the Capitan Mountain Range, and you could see that in the distance. So you knew that I wasn't very close to it. Now, if I was broke down and I was right next to a mountain and I saw a mountain and I looked on my map and saw a mountain, I could orientate myself and say, okay, well, I must be somewhere in this location because I'm close to this mountain. You have to be able to use your terrain and know where you're at somewhat, generally, that I'm on X road and I was driving eastbound, westbound, northbound, whichever it is, but I was on that road going that direction. Most of us pay attention to that pretty close. We know the general road and area that we were in. We may not know exactly where we were. Sometimes, if we don't know where we're at all, that's a whole other aspect, and we'll get into that and break that down as we get into this series. Again, the atlas is one of the most popular road atlases, and road maps are one of the most popular maps in America. They're almost in every single vehicle. I shouldn't say every single vehicle. They're in many vehicles. Many people have a road atlas in their vehicle. Sometimes they're old. Now remember, if you have an older one, you may not have the road that you're on, but most likely you do because you're traveling on an older road, maybe. But if you're on a brand new road, maybe the 2009 wouldn't have it on there because we're talking 17 years ago for 2009. So it may not have the road that you're traveling on, but it's a good reference and a good starting point to try to figure out where you're at. And it may very well be able to locate you by that. As we break it down into the series, we'll get more deep into it. We'll start talking about contour lines. We'll start talking about map reading. We'll start talking about the legend. We'll talk about true north and all the things that are important. But this video right now is just talking about basic use of an atlas map and figuring out where you're at if you so get stranded and you don't have any other means or GPS to do it. Kind of broke it down very quick and rapidly. Most important part of the map, the legend. Again, most important part of the map is the legend. Going from there, in the road atlas, the legend is very important. Table of contents is important. And understanding how your road atlas is broke down. This atlas was broke down into sections, so I knew that these were page numbers and it would take me to it. And all you have to do is read and figure out how your atlas is broken down. If you have any questions about using the road atlas and what's going on with it, let me know. You can leave a comment down below. You can send us a comment and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. As always, we appreciate you coming and checking out these videos. We hope that you like and subscribe, and we're looking forward to talking to you in the future. Thanks again.